Hi, this is Ryan Kolick with Code Green Fitness, and today we're going over our pre-workout foam roll. So we do each exercise for about 30 seconds. Here we start on the right calf. Right now I've got my foot turned inward. Then I'll rotate so my toes are straight up in the air, and then also rotate my foot outward. This way I hit the gastroc and soleus, and then we'll even get into the perennials as I rotate my foot all the way out. From there we're going to switch feet. So we got left foot on top of the foam roller, right foot on top of the left, and then we're working in between the joints. So that is in between the ankle and the knee joint. Again, turn the foot outward, hit the perennials. We're going straight ahead, hitting the soleus and gastroc, and then when we turn the foot inward, we're hitting mostly the gastroc. And the purpose here, again, is we're looking for tender spots. These are those adhesions. And you'll definitely feel it when you reach one of those spots. And we're trying to break those up. That way this is going to increase our flexibility. So after we go the calf, then we're going to go onto the right leg. So on the right leg, we start on the TFL and the IT band or iliotibial band. So the area we're working here is from the hip or the hip joint to the top of the knee joint. Now this is going to be the outer part of the thigh. Generally midway down the thigh and towards the knee are the most tender areas. Right here we've got our feet stacked one on top of the other. You want to keep the abs drawn in. Got my forearm and other hand on the floor. I keep pressure on my forearm and hand, just to help relieve a little bit of tension that's on that IT band. So from the IT band, we're going to turn over and hit the quadricep. The quadricep, doing the same thing, we're rolling from top of the hip to the top of the knee. Here I will rotate the femur, so I turn my foot inwards so I can hit more of the outer part of the thigh. Then I'll keep the toes straight down. That's going to go right over the middle of the thigh, and then I'll turn my toes outward, and I'm going to hit the inner part of the thigh. So again, these are all hitting different parts of the quadricep. And you want to take this nice and slow, make sure you really feel those muscles going through the foam roller. You just don't want to pass over it. You really want to search out those tender spots. Now we're moving over to the inner thigh or the adductors. So I'm on my forearms. I want to lift up the knee. And I'm going to start the foam roller just on the inside of my knee. My knee is about the same height as my hip. You'll see me do a couple things right here. I'm elevating the foot, rolling inwards, and then I'll backtrack through. I'll also, let that foot come down. The other thing that you can do here as well is extend your leg out. And, there's different reasons for this. Mostly it's going to hit different parts of the adductor complex. So once we're done with the right leg, we're going to move over to the left leg. So we're on the left side IT band, TFL and IT band. TFL is right at the top of the hip. And then as we roll through the hip down towards the knee, we're going over that iliotibial band. Notice here I've got my right foot crossed over on top. That's just to help, with a little bit of that pain. And now, I've been able to work through the fascia a little bit more. So I stack my feet and I can get a little bit deeper into that muscle tissue. So really help break up those adhesions. And now I'm starting to rotate my hips over, and then we're going to roll over into the quadricep. So on the top of the thigh, right, again, we're moving from top of the thigh to the top of the knee, taking this nice and slow. Right, we're crawling on those forearms. We're keeping the abs drawn in. Notice I'm not letting my low back sag, so we can still get a little bit of ab and core work here as we're foam rolling. And it's a good idea too. It's actually what you're supposed to do because you want to keep your spine in alignment. You don't want your back arching too much or flexing. So as we move through the top of the thigh here, we get to the top of the knee. Then we're going to backtrack through. And now the next phase we're moving on to is the adductor complex on that left side. So again, I lift that knee up. It's coming right off my hip, same height as the hip. I'm going to elevate my foot, rolling inwards, so that foam roller is coming in towards the groin. Again, gentlemen, be careful. And then backtrack through nice and slow, really looking for those knots. We want to find any tenderness there. We'll hold it momentarily. and then we'll pass through looking for more of those adhesions, knots, or tender spots. All basically is the same thing. Okay, so now from the inner thighs, we're going to move over to the piriformis. So here we sit on top of the foam roller, and have you seen I've put my left ankle on top of the right knee, and I'm going to raise my right hip or rotate, lifting my hips up to the right. Now right here we're working into that ball and socket of the hip. We're really searching out that real small muscle, the piriformis, which happens to lead to a lot of lower back issues or low back pain. Here, we're looking for that tenderness. You may feel it radiate out. It may get a little bit warm, maybe a little bit of tension for you. So we hold for 30 seconds, then we switch to the other side. Again, I'm going to roll back and forth over the top. We're looking for the piriformis, but we can also hit that glute maximus, glute minimus, a little bit of the TFL too, depending on how much we rotate our hips and how far we're rolling up and down on top of that roller. So again, make sure you find that tender spot, hold it for a few seconds, and you're really trying to smooth it out here. Now from the piriformis, we're going to transition into the lower back. So we take this down into the lumbar. With the foam roller, we're not going directly on top of the spine. We're going just to the side of it. There's times here you see me pulling up and grabbing my knee with the opposite hand. I tend to have a little bit of low back pain, so I'll lift that up. That allows me to get a little bit deeper with a little bit of stretch in the low back. It's very subtle. And then here, I've dropped my leg so I can go a little bit longer, roll through that lumbar. So right now I'm going basically between the hip and the ribs. So what we do to one side of the body, we're also going to work on the other, trying to build that symmetry and flexibility. So again, my back's tight. I'm pulling up on the knee, just giving it a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to roll through there, trying to find some of those tender spots. And again, you'll know when you find them. They're tender, they hurt. Some are not as bad as others, but you'll definitely feel it. Here I've dropped the leg down, and that way I can just get a little bit longer roll through those erectors or the lower back. Again, we're working between the hip and the ribs. And then from here we're going to transition over into the lats. So I'm starting on the left side lat. I'm going to take my right leg behind. I'm going to grab my left elbow and pull back like I'm stretching my tricep. That allows that shoulder joint to open up. I can roll back onto the rear deltoid, and then from there, we can move up through the lat. So the area we're working here is basically armpit down to the ribs, just below the chest. Once you're on top of the ribs, you really don't need to roll down any further over the ribs, because again, we're focusing on the lat. And you want to lean back or rotate the hips, towards your spine or backwards, so that way you'll get over the top of part of your shoulder blade. So once we're finished with the left side, we're going to go on to the right side. Again, this is the pre-workout. We're doing each one of these for only about 30 seconds. And then at home, you should be doing this at least 30 seconds, more like 1 to 2 minutes per each area. So here I'm pulling back on that right elbow with the left hand, so I'm getting a little stretch in that tricep. I really opened up that lat and the shoulder. So notice I'm rotating towards my chest, towards the foam roller. That's getting right through the armpit, and then I'm going to lean back towards the spine, getting more over the top of the shoulder blades. Okay, so from here we're going to go into the upper back. So elbows out, that allows us to hit those rear deltoids a little bit more. And we pass through nice and slow. And then another option you can do is squeeze the elbows in, like I'm going to do here. And now you can focus on getting between the shoulder blades a little bit more, hitting those rhomboids. So right now we're working the upper third of the back. So, it's basically that thoracic area of the spine. One more thing you can do is pull that arm across, opening up the shoulder blade. Now I'm just focused on hitting one side of the spine, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll get on the other side of the spine. That way I'm not putting pressure directly on my spine. So this is probably one of the best feeling ones we all carry tension in that upper back. And now for the last one, the foam roll. This is great for chest flexibility and also shoulders. So what we're doing is a little bit of a shoulder rotation here. I'm squeezing the shoulder blades back, do a stick up overhead, pull the elbows down to approximately 90 degrees, and then we're trying to rotate the palms towards the floor. That gives a stretch in the shoulder. When we do that stick up, we squeeze those shoulder blades back. This entire time, we want to keep the abs drawn in and our spine against that foam roller. Again, 30 seconds. This is not really knots, but we're working the flexibility of the shoulders and chest. That takes us through our pre-workout foam roll. This is Ryan with CodeGreenFitness.com.